Hey, what's going on, APUSHers? Video 23 for you. This one is on sectionalism, cotton, and the American system. Before we begin, you know what time it is. It's shout out time. Have to give a huge shout out to Mr. Burns' 8th period class in New York. Thanks for the support. I appreciate it. Best of luck to you all. You are brilliant and will do great. All right, let's start off talking about sectionalism. What the heck is it? Well, as the 19th century progressed, as the 1800s progressed, the North and the South became more entrenched in their respective economies. The South was focused on cotton production and agricultural staples, whereas the North was focused on manufacturing, banking, and shipping industries. So they are going to be focused more on their respective industries. Both regions, though, are going to trade goods with each other and to distant markets in Europe. Do me a favor, circle or highlight distant markets in Europe. That is mentioned in the curriculum. You should be familiar with it. All right, so what are some impacts of cotton on the economy? Well, the U.S. economy is going to increase during this time due to southern cotton production, which is sold to the North and Europe. Northern manufacturing, the North is going to get cotton to use in textile factories, pictured here, and banking as well, which will give loans to foster the growth of industry and shipping industries as well. Northern merchants made money from the sale of cotton and international trade. Be familiar with these 4 reasons why the U.S. economy is increasing during this time. Now, as the North industrialized, the South continued to produce staple crops and cash crops such as cotton, and plantation owners are going to exercise tremendous power. They're going to be the ones that are very influential in politics as well. Many elites will defend slavery and the Southern way of life, especially dudes like John C. Calhoun from South Carolina. He was a senator and he defended slavery in the South. We'll talk more about that in period 5. All right, so jumping over to Henry Clay's American system, 3 parts you should be familiar with. Some background info. During the early 19th century, the country faced many challenges. Infant U.S. industries, or new U.S. industries, had a hard time competing with British goods, especially post-War of 1812 when the British flooded the market with their goods that they were not allowed to trade due to the Embargo Act. And infrastructure was very weak, especially out west in areas like Kentucky, Ohio, Tennessee, etc. And a second bus was rechartered in 1816 for 20 years. So that bus will be in effect until 1836. Very important to understand this bus is only around for 20 years. The goal of the American system was to address all of these 3 areas. So, first part is the bus. First bus, if you remember, created divisions between Jefferson and Hamilton, the idea of strict versus loose interpretation of the Constitution. Which one prevailed? Well, it was our boy Hamilton, and he got back up later from the Supreme Court in the court case McCulloch v. Maryland, in which the Supreme Court said the bus was constitutional. However, opposition still is going to persist. Andrew Jackson, he's going to veto the 3rd bus when that comes up for a recharter in 1832. He's going to say, nope, don't like it, won't do it, not going to support it. So he vetoed the 3rd bus. And this was very controversial for its time because most people thought that the veto should only be used for things that were unconstitutional, not because somebody doesn't personally like it. We'll actually break down his veto address later. And Henry Clay advocated for the 3rd bus. He said it would help stimulate the economy. Now let's go to part 2, internal improvements. Inter versus intrastate trade you need to be familiar with. Interstate involves trade between 2 or more states. Think of the interstate highway that connects many different states. Intra-state trade involves trade within a single state. So think of the Erie Canal, for example. In New York, it's entirely in New York. That's an example of intrastate trade. And there is the Erie Canal. And that was paid for by New York State because it was only in the state limits of New York State. Now, for much of early American history, Congress is only going to pay money if it's involved in interstate developments, not intra. Inter, they will pay for. Intra, they will not. So the American system advocated for federal funds to improve infrastructure, which would increase trade and connectivity of the country. That's the goal of these internal improvements. However, many politicians, such as Andrew Jackson, opposed this. He didn't like the idea of federal money going towards intrastate projects. An example of this is the Maysville Road veto in Kentucky, which he vetoes this bill and says, nope, not going to do it because it's only for one state. James Monroe, he also vetoed funding of the Erie Canal prior to New York State paying for it because he said it's only within New York State. Why should the federal government pay for that? So how would the American system pay for these internal improvements? The answer is tariffs. So let's go to the third part of the American system. Tariffs. If you remember, tariff is a tax on foreign goods. So we have foreign goods coming to America, but before they get here, there is a tax on it which increases the price. So the price of foreign goods increases, provides revenue for the government, and makes American products more appealing because foreign goods are more expensive. This is seen through the Tariff of 1816, Tariff of 1828, known as the Tariff of Abominations, the Tariff of 1832 as well. All of these raise the price of foreign goods. And the idea was to help American industries. Remember, I mentioned these infant American industries were struggling against the British. Here's a way to help them. There was much resistance to 1828 and 1832 in particular because those rates were so high. And that led to the nullification crisis in South Carolina, where South Carolina refused to pay these tariffs and basically said, do something, Andrew Jackson. What you going to do about it? We're just going to sit here and not pay these tariffs. Okay, so let's analyze the American system. Some successes. Well, the North and the Midwest are going to be more closely linked. The South is going to be left out. Many states built up their infrastructure. And this was the first of many government-sponsored programs in the economy. We'll see many more throughout the history of this country. American industries were able to prosper. Now, some failures did not unify all areas of the U.S. The South was left out. Sectionalism will increase, in particular due to tariffs and that nullification crisis. And there are continued debates about the role of the federal government in intrastate business even to this day. All right, quick recap. What are the impacts of cotton on the economy? 3 parts of the American system. Know all 3: the bus, internal improvements, tariffs, and successes and failures of the American system. Be able to explain it in a short answer or essay topic. Thanks, guys, for watching. Look forward to seeing you back here for video number 24, Immigration and Native Americans. Best of luck this year, and have a good day.